It hasn't rained in 2 weeks. There's no tap, no well, no river within walking distance, and I woke up this morning with more water than I needed. Not because I found something, not because I got lucky, because I built something last Tuesday for under $12 that pulled water straight out of the air overnight while I slept. And before you assume this is theory, I want to be clear. I'm not telling you about something I read. I'm telling you about something I do. There's a difference, and you can usually hear it. This is the difference. And today, you'll learn this engineering trick too. Infinite water for just $12 or less. Leave a like if this is useful, and subscribe, because what I'm about to show you doesn't care whether the grid is up or not. And that's exactly the point. Most collapse scenarios look the same in the first 72 hours. The grid goes down, generators kick in where they exist. People assume it's temporary and wait. What almost nobody accounts for is water. Municipal water systems depend on electric pumps to maintain pressure throughout the distribution network. No power, no pressure. Taps go dry within hours of a grid failure in most urban and suburban areas. The water sitting in pipes and elevated tanks buys you maybe 24 to 48 hours, depending on local infrastructure and how many people are drawing from the same system simultaneously. After that, the math changes completely. FEMA recommends 1 gallon per person per day for drinking and sanitation. A family of 4 burns through a standard emergency water supply in days. Bottled water disappears from store shelves within hours of any serious emergency, documented in every major disaster event on record, from Hurricane Katrina to the 2021 Texas grid failure. Waterborne disease is the leading cause of death in the weeks following infrastructure collapse. Not violence, not starvation. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid, all of them preventable with clean water, all of them fatal without it. The device I'm about to show you produces water from a source that doesn't depend on any infrastructure. No pipes, no pumps, no grid, no supply chain, just air, which is everywhere, even after everything else fails. Here's something worth understanding before we get into the build. Every cubic meter of air around you right now is carrying water. Not metaphorically, literally. At 60% relative humidity and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 1 cubic meter of air contains approximately 14 grams of water vapor. Invisible. Suspended. Going nowhere until it touches something cold enough to convince it to let go. That moment, when air hits a surface below what's called the dew point temperature, is when vapor becomes liquid. You've watched it happen your entire life without naming it. The sweat on the outside of a cold bottle on a hot day. Frost on a car windshield that wasn't there when you parked it the night before. The inside of a window on a cold morning. None of that water came from anywhere. It was already in the air. The surface just gave it somewhere to land. What you're building is a large, tensioned surface designed to maximize that contact, to give as much moving air as possible a place to lose its water and to collect every drop before the sun comes up and takes it back. The atmosphere holds 12,900 cubic kilometers of fresh water at any given moment, most of it cycling through the air above your head right now, essentially none of it being collected by anyone standing below it. That's the opportunity. This isn't new knowledge. It just got buried when the tap started working and nobody needed it anymore. In the Namib Desert, one of the driest places on Earth where it rains less than half an inch per year, there's a beetle called the stenocora. It survives entirely on atmospheric water. Its back is covered in microscopic bumps, hydrophilic peaks that attract water vapor, and hydrophobic valleys that channel the collected droplets toward its mouth. No well, no river, no rain. Just physics and geometry. Biomimetic's engineers have been studying that beetle since 2001, trying to replicate what it does at scale. MIT published papers on it. Defense research programs funded studies on it. Companies have spent millions trying to manufacture the surface pattern that beetle evolved over millions of years. You can approximate the same result with $12 of hardware store materials and an afternoon. That's not an insult to the engineers. That's just how elegant the original solution actually is. In the highlands of Peru, pre-Columbian communities built stone fog catchers on mountain ridges, specifically oriented to intercept coastal moisture moving inland. Some of those structures are still standing. They weren't decorative, they were water infrastructure. The knowledge exists. It always has. It just stopped being taught when it stopped being necessary. Necessary is coming back. Here's what you need. All of it, nothing hidden. Shade cloth mesh, 6 by 6 feet, 5.00 This is the component that does the actual work. You'll find it at any garden center or hardware store, sold for shading greenhouse plants. The weave density matters more than anything else on this list. You want 50 to 70% shade rating, tight enough that individual fibers create condensation surfaces, loose enough that air still moves through. A volleyball net won't work. A tarp won't work. Window screen mesh at the right density works fine and costs the same. 1-inch PVC pipe, 4 sections to build a frame, approximately 2.00. You're making a rectangle roughly 4 feet tall and 3 feet wide. The pipe doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to hold the mesh under tension and not collapse in wind. Zip-tied corners are fine. If you find scrap PVC, this is free. Zip ties, $0 to $1. You have some somewhere. If you don't, a small bag costs $1, and you'll use them for everything else you ever build. Plastic rain gutter section, 4 feet, 3 to 4 This sits under the bottom edge of the frame and catches everything that rolls down the mesh. Standard vinyl gutter from any hardware store. Cut to length if needed. Most stores will do it free. Bricks, rocks, or any stable base material, 0.00. You're using these to prop the frame at an angle. They don't need to be pretty. They need to be heavy enough that wind doesn't knock the frame over. Total, $10 to $12. If you already have zip ties and can find rocks, you're at $8. If you scavenge the PVC, you're building this for the cost of the mesh and the gutter. No power tools, no electrical components, no ongoing cost. One build, indefinite operation. The frame first. 4 PVC sections into a rectangle. Zip tie the corners. 2 ties per corner. Crossed. Give it a shake. If it holds, it's done. You're not building furniture. You're building a surface that needs to face wind without falling over. That's the only structural requirement. Now the mesh. Lay it over the frame and pull it tight before you secure anything. Start at one corner, zip tie it, move to the opposite corner, pull tight, zip tie. Then the remaining 2 corners, same method. Then work your way around every edge. A zip tie every 6 inches. The tension is the entire point. A sagging mesh pools water at low points. Pooled water doesn't run. Water that doesn't run doesn't reach the trough. You want every drop that forms to immediately roll downhill and fall into the collection channel below. Think of it like a drum skin. That level of tension. If you push on the center and it barely moves, you've got it right. Now, the angle. This is where most people make the mistake that ruins their first attempt. They lay it flat. Flat means pooling. Pooling means evaporation when the sun comes up. Evaporation means you collected almost nothing, and you're blaming the method when the problem was the geometry. Tilt the frame 15 to 30 degrees. Use the bricks or rocks under one side to create that angle. Think of it like a ramp. Water forms anywhere on the surface, immediately rolls toward the lower edge, and drops into the gutter waiting below. Position the gutter directly under that lower edge. If you want to run tubing from the gutter into a storage container, do it. If you don't have tubing, put the container directly under the gutter's end. That's the build. It took longer to explain than to do. Where you put this matters as much as how you build it. Face it into the prevailing wind. Not sideways, not away from it. You want air moving through the mesh, not deflecting around the edges. Walk your space at dusk and pay attention to which direction the breeze is coming from. That's where the front of the frame points. Get it off the ground. A foot of elevation makes a measurable difference. Air near ground level is warmer and drier than air slightly higher up. It's already picked up heat from the ground surface and lost some of its moisture-carrying capacity. Keep morning sun off it as long as possible. The collection happens at night when temperatures are lowest and dew point is closest to air temperature. The moment direct sunlight hits a cold, water-covered mesh, evaporation starts, and you lose what you built through the night. Position it where it stays shaded through the early morning if you can. Set it up before sunset. Check it at dawn. Between setup and collection, physics is doing everything. You're not involved. On my first night doing this, average conditions. Mid-90s overnight, around 65% relative humidity, no fog, nothing special. Half a liter. That sounds small until you think about what it means. Half a liter of water appeared in a container that was empty when you went to sleep. It cost nothing to produce. It will happen again tomorrow night and the night after, and every night this setup is in place indefinitely, without any input from you. In climates with higher humidity, the Gulf Coast, the Pacific Northwest, river valleys, anywhere that sees morning ground fog regularly, a single 6x6 setup pulls 1 to 2 liters per night under average conditions. In dense fog events, more. Scale matters. A 10 by 10 foot mesh under the same conditions produces roughly 3 times the output of a 6x6. 2 frames produces twice the output of 1. The math is linear, and the materials cost the same per square foot. A person needs approximately 2 liters of drinking water per day to stay functional under normal exertion. In the right climate with the right scale, this setup covers that from air alone. I'm not going to promise you numbers I can't back up. What I can tell you is that the limiting factor here isn't the device. It's the humidity in your specific location. Know your climate and scale accordingly. In a collapse scenario where municipal water is gone and bottled water ran out on day 2, half a liter per night from a $12 device is not a modest result. It's the difference between having a water source and not having one. Scale it up, and it's the difference between your group surviving and not surviving. Now, let's talk about actually drinking it. Atmospheric water starts clean. It hasn't touched ground, hasn't run through soil, hasn't picked up agricultural runoff or pipe sediment. The contamination concerns are different. Particulates from the mesh surface over time, and in urban areas, trace pollutants from vehicle exhaust or industrial air quality. Both are solvable for $3. Take any plastic bottle, a 1.5 liter works well. Cut the bottom off. Invert it so the neck points down. Layer the following materials inside from top to bottom. Cotton ball or clean fabric. This is your first filter, catching any visible particles. Activated charcoal. 2 tablespoons, available at any aquarium supply store for under $3 for a bag that will last you months of filtration. This is the layer that handles chemical concerns, absorbs organic compounds, reduces taste and odor issues, binds trace contaminants to its surface. Fine sand, 1-inch layer, handles intermediate particle filtration between the charcoal and the final layer. Cotton ball or fabric at the top catches anything large before it enters the filter column. Pour collected water through the top. Let it drip from the neck into a clean container below. For complete confidence, 1 drop of unscented household bleach per liter. Wait 30 minutes. Or boil for 1 minute if you have heat available. Either step after the filter, and you have water that is cleaner than most municipal tap water in developed countries. Not an exaggeration. Municipal water systems carry chlorine byproducts, pipe sediment, and aging infrastructure contamination that atmospheric water simply doesn't. Total filtration cost, $3 one time. Filter lifespan, months with regular rinsing. Here's what this actually is. It's not a survival hack. It's not a prepper trick. It's basic physics and engineering trick applied with $12 of materials that have existed for decades. The reason most people don't know it isn't complexity. It's that nobody profits from you collecting water from air with a piece of mesh and a PVC frame. There's no subscription, no filter cartridge to replace every month, no branded product with a margin attached. So it doesn't get marketed, it doesn't get taught. It sits in engineering journals and rural community development reports, and the traditional knowledge of communities that never had the option of forgetting it. That knowledge is $12 and an afternoon. Build it now, before you need it, because the people who build it after they need it are the people drinking from questionable sources and hoping for the best, while the people who built it before are waking up every morning with water in a container that was empty when they went to sleep. The difference between someone who runs out of water and someone who doesn't isn't always location or money or preparation level. Sometimes it's just knowing that the air has been full of water this entire time. Now you know. Leave a like if this changed how you think about what's available to you, and subscribe. There's more of this coming, and most of it costs less than people expect. And remember, know the place before you need the place.